Today we're going over the first batch of refines for 2025 in Fire Emblem Heroes. In part 1, we'll be talking about new weapons for Sonia, Lex, Selena, and Ronan. In part 2, we got legendary remixes from Micaiah and Faye, plus our seasonal spot will go to Halloween Zane. More on these in the next video. Sonia, with an I, is our heroic Grail Blue True Mage. The highest base defense for any blue mage in the game is only 36, so Sonia's base 32 defense is pretty impressive. She also has okay base res, although it's not the highest by any modern standards. Essentially though, Sonia's got decent physical and magical bulk, which is fairly unique for a free-to-play mage. Her new weapon is going to be the Fimbulvetr Morn. 14 might, if above 25% HP, Sonia inflicts -6 attack and res debuffs, she gets true damage equal to 20% res, and has 7 flat damage reduction for first attacks with an S. She will also get guard. Pretty basic stuff here, attack debuffs plus flat DR for tankiness is nice. For the refine, every turn if above 25% HP, Sonia grants +6 attack and res, essence drain, and bonus doubler to herself and a target ally. If her support partner is on the team, it buffs that unit if they're within 2 spaces. Otherwise, Sonia would buff the highest attack ally within 2 spaces. For combat, if she's healthy, Sonia inflicts another -6 attack and res, she gets a free follow-up attack, and she heals 7 HP after combat. The big standout for Sonia is that she's the second unit to get Essence Drain besides Nurgle. This status steals the enemy's statuses and gives it to all Essence Drain units. If you get the KO, all Essence Drain units heal 10 HP as well. It's a very powerful effect since status stacking can get out of hand, and this can help break through tougher tanks even if you don't get the 1-round KO. Essence Drain has a 2-space AoE when stealing buffs, so it's really bad to get hit by it. Potentially a potent tool with the new Emblem Lin Ring, but we recently also got Nidhogger 2 in fact. Her dosage status is a unit reverse card against Essence Drain. You have to assume they are giving Essence Drain to a free unit, partially because dosage is not going to be uncommon moving forward. Regardless, Sonia now gets a piece of a very unique status. Unless you can match attack stats, she's only going to buff one ally. Sonia and that ally also get bonus doubler though, with +6 attack and res to use it. Now, you could support Sonia with someone like Citrine to spread the buff around for a budget Nurgle setup. When it comes to defensive mage builds, they can't use defensive specials besides Miracle, and there's no unpierceable % DR specials. You can get regular % DR from skills like Remote Mirror, Nelsie Disrupt 4, Precious Assault 4, perhaps a Deflect Seal. The other option is to get flat DR via Lagu's Friend, and Sonia already has 7 flat DR herself with attack debuffs. She can run 3 cooldown Flare or Iceberg, and for best results, you kinda want Emblem Ike's Ring. To activate it, you're gonna need Time's Pulse or some kind of -1 cooldown. For her counterattack, Sonia can now reply with a DR piercing special, plus she now has 40% res as true damage total. Since she already has bonus doubler as a status, so you can also run close bonus doubler to tank melee hits, and you can use the Sacred Seal version too if you want. Another way to utilize this refine is adding tempo to the guard effect to prevent special charging. Sonia could use the new tempo Echo, or you could run the tier 4B skill. She can also use something like Defense Res Pledge for bread type cooldown to access specials like Glacius or Aether. It would also just let her retaliate with a 2 cooldown special as well. If you do go for a quick cooldown setup with maybe Emblem Marth or Time's Pulse effects, then Finishes Healing can add to the Refine Sustain. If Sonia can get a KO, Essence Drain also heals another 10 HP. For other skills, Sonia can stack flat resistance to maybe proc ploy debuffs or something like Attack and Res Discord. She would be a decent user of those skills, but her base res is not the highest starting out. For other support skills, you could run Breath of Life 4, Conflict Control, or maybe something like Rally plus Ruse debuffs. Overall though, Sonia's weapon is kind of just a bunch of simple tanking skills and then Essence Drain out of nowhere. She's not going to outdo Nurgle in terms of being a combative threat, but any kind of anti-status mechanic can be potent. If you don't got Nidhogger, you still need to watch out. Our next refine goes to Lex, who's a Demote Axe Cavalier. Lex has decent attack and defense stats, and his Goddess Axe actually now plays into flat stat stacking a bit. It's not a huge deal, but with the new refine, Lex now gets +5 HP, +6 attack, and +6 defense up from +5. He's still gonna lose -5 speed and res, and Goddess Axe doesn't really use those stats at all, so be aware of magic damage. This 11 might, now technically 17 might weapon is a dual-phase Brave Axe. A new base effect is that Lex gets a free follow-up. If the fall doesn't stop him, Lex can now get quad attacks even if outsped. Further refined, if initiating or within 2 spaces of an ally, Lex gets +6 defense and res, he deals true damage equal to 15% defense, he has bread type cooldown on every attack, and heals 7 HP after combat. Very simple stuff, but all good for the refine. Lex gets an extra 12 attack and true damage based on his defense, which he also gets +12 to. Brave hits with bread type cooldown means lots of special opportunities, and Lex can heal a little if he does get hurt. Lex is going to be a fairly straightforward brave attacker, and being a Cavalier means he can run momentum. Emblem Sigurd is back right now with momentum. Lex can add extra true damage the farther he moves. He stacks 2 free follow-ups, which might be handy in niche scenarios, and then of course Lex gets instant cooldown. Even if he only gets 1 cooldown, with his breath type cooldown, he can charge no quarter on his first brave hit. He then procs the DR piercing special on his second brave hit. If the enemy hits him back, Lex could then get a second no quarter proc when quadding. This refine is mostly about damage, so if you want some extra protection, Excel can give flat DR. However, neutralizing attack debuffs via Clash 4 may be better for killing stuff. Lex can then use Alarm Attack and Defense for Kanto 1 for some treat options. This alarm is only on Summer Ephraim, who is on a banner right now. You can also get Emblem Sigurd for Momentum and Excel, and if you did want to try mixed phasing, then Brave Alphonse is also back. His Fortifications, Reopening, and Breath of Life 4 kit can work on Lex, but it's not the best in my opinion. For a non-momentum B skill, Flow Guard 4 can protect Lex from special counterattacks. If you combo that with Odd Defense Wave 4, Lex can get Guard, Temple, and Scowl. For a mixed phase skill, Gambit's alright, but you ideally want to run 4 cooldown Ignis or 5 cooldown Aether/Miracle. 40 to 50% DR is still good, and Lex would get 10 to 15 true damage. You could run this with a distant counter skill. For other fun stuff, Lex can run Near Tries for Kanto, Assassin's Strike with a Flared A skill. He can run Desperation 4 or Flow Desperation to try and quad immediately. There is also maybe a use for Potent, but not sure I would go that far. A simple low attack and defense can work as fine as well. Due to brave hits and cooldown, there is Gale Force potential here, although you probably want -1 cooldown from somewhere. Overall, Lex isn't going to be a game-breaking new quad attacker, but for a demo, he has a decent amount of fun builds to try. If you want to stack true damage, you can try to get him things like Treachery or Dominance, plus exposure is another 10 free damage per hit too. It would require some help to get going, but with momentum, there is also potential for AoE special spamming. Perhaps that's one of the reasons Goddess X now gets that flat attack bump. Onto our retired Firestars, our next refine goes to Selena from Sacred Stones. She's a blue mage cav and basically a full-on glass cannon. Her Tome of Storms refine is a bit similar to her Summer Alts refine. From this weapon, Selena gets +3 speed. If she initiates or faces a healthy foe, she gets bonus attack and speed equal to 6 plus 15% of her flat speed stat. Selena neutralizes the foe's speed and res field buffs, she has full no follow-up effects, and if she outspeeds, she prevents counterattacks. As one of the bolting bosses of the franchise, Selena's gotten 2 refines with sweep effects to simulate the long-range attack. Now with Emblem Lyn, you can actually get the full bolting experience if you want. Now for her other new effects, Selena gets low speed and res, and more attack and speed. Unlike her Summer Alt's flash status, this is going to be a personal sweep effect. For the refine, Selena gets Kanto 1. Every turn, if above 25% HP, she inflicts -7 speed and res and exposure on the closest foes, plus anyone within 2 spaces. For combat, if she's above 25% HP, Selena gets 6 more attack and speed, and deals true damage equal to 20% speed. Overall, Selena is a true glass cannon mage. She has no follow plus sweep to double tap safely, but if anything gets by that, then she's basically going to be dead in 1 hit. From this refine, Selena gets Kanto plus true damage. She also has that speed, res, and exposure support. Similar to Lex, we have another fairly straightforward unit. Selena wants to initiate, and while she does get extra attack and speed for having high flat speed, it's not a huge amount that you have to run double life and death. Verge of Death is good though, since it negates panic and debuffs, but Flared Sparrow or Slide Swift Sparrow will be fine, possibly better alternatives. You can run the classic Flared Strike setup for 14 instant damage plus stacking more true damage with the refine. Not bad for hit and run tactics using Sweep and Kanto, although Breath of Life 4 and Divine Nectar kind of put the idea in the dirt. Now besides running something like Inside Attack and Speed for just more pure offensive stats, Selena's only interesting offensive option is Resonance. If you give her Dragon Flowers, she can get up to 45 HP, that's enough for 50% DR piercing and 10 true damage. Stack that with Exposure's 10 true damage and the Refine's 20% speed true damage. Selena will double tap if she outspeeds and then Kanto's out. That's kinda basically it. If you want a special proc, you're gonna have to have Heavy Blade, and that's only good for 2 cooldown Ruptured Sky, Moonbow, or Glimmer. If you want anything higher, you're gonna need more support, Emblem Marth, or you just need to initiate a second time. You would lose DR piercing from Resonance, but Selena would have been a fine user of Speed Taker's No Guard, speed-based true damage, and other speed-based perks. Sadly, the developers said, no, that's not happening. For other uses of Selena's Refine, you could potentially run Double Fury with Resonance to set up Wings of Mercy. Not really a foolproof plan, but it's something, since she does have that sweep safety and then Kanto. Another use of this is Defensive Smoke to set up Pathfinder. Selena could also run other smoke debuffs or just maybe out of combat damage like Poison Strike or Savage Blow. It's nothing insane that another sweep plus Kanto unit can't do. Sadly, even though she has Kanto 1, you could argue there is still a use for Fortress 4. The potential for more Kanto remaining movement can be useful, plus it does give it a little bit of true damage. There's just not really a ton of other interesting skill options for a pure glass cannon here. In the end, Selena's Refine is alright, but it is just pure offensive power with some debuff support. Similar to Emblem Lyn, the glass cannons just don't really have the tools to take out the insane tanks in conventional manners. With Lyn's Ring, you can abuse things like Dual Strike or Tranquil Attack or Miracle Auras, but without those cheesy tactics, it's kinda really hard for generic offensive units to take out those tanks. For our last refine from part 1, it's going to be a spicy one for Ronan. He's a Fimbulvetr archer with high speed and res. Indignant Bow gets some very unique effects. This 14-man weapon gets +3 res, and Ronan now disables adaptive damage skills. If the foe initiates or has more than 75% HP, Ronan gets +6 attack, defense, and res, and +5 speed. He then neutralizes attack, speed, and res debuffs on himself, while neutralizing the foe's attack and speed field balls. Additionally, Ronan gets true damage equal to 20% res, and on special triggers, he calculates damage using 150% of his res stat instead of his attack stat. Alrighty, so there was some restructuring on his weapon stat bonuses, but basically, Ronan does just get extra speed benefits now. Now, negating adaptive damage means dragons can't abuse his low base defense, and true damage based on res is a good perk. Something that's really fun though is that Ronan gets Tamara's Sandstorm effect. Instead of 150% defense, he uses 150% res. Essentially, if you can spam specials, Ronan doesn't really care about his attack stat, pump up his resistance, and you also increase his damage. Further refined, for allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, Ronan gives them +5 attack, speed, and resistance, no guard, and 7 flat DR against first attacks with an S. For his own combat, Ronan now has Slaying. If near an ally, Ronan gets +5 stats, no guard, -1 instant cooldown before attacking, and then 10 flat DR against first attacks. If the foe were to trigger a special, Ronan gets an additional 10 flat DR. Good lord, now this is a fun refine. Ronan went from being a high speed and res archer to offering rare no guard and flat DR support. He negates adaptive damage plus has excel flat DR. You then have the Slaying, no guard, and instant cooldown, which all lead into special procs using 150% res instead of attack. For any big Ronan fans out there, you should be very happy. This refine can lead to 2 main playstyles. First off, Ronan can instantly proc 2 cooldown specials, and Curved Shot is a great option since it has 40% damage reduction as well. That will go nicely with the 10 flat DR. While Ronan's physical matchups are still maybe a little iffy, he should be solid into magic, and he can maybe out-res dragons to avoid Scowl. With no guard, if Ronan survives a counter, he can proc a second Curved Shot in his follow-up. Something like physical no follow-up would be great for doubling, plus 50% DR piercing on both attacks. Now, since Ronan is spamming curved shots, he's not going to be using his attack stat. This does make him a fine user of the less common stat variants, such as from speed and res for finish or hexblade. You can also do defense and res for stuff like Oath 4. Bonus double skills are also fine to buff all stats. Now for the other playstyle, it's basically just being a res version of Tamara. Lagu's friend with Glazies and times pulse if you want to run Emblem Ike's Ring. 40% damage reduction, the Refine's 10 flat DR, and Lagu's friend's 20% res flat DR. You then got finish 4 for healing on the counterattack. Ideally, this setup would like no follow-up still. If you really want to beat Tamara, Times Pulse Echo would open the C slot for something like Infantry no follow 4. Now the benefits of this build is that Ronan's going for a full DR piercing Glacius nuke. If you don't run Emblem Ike, you don't need Times Pulse, plus Ronan has instant cooldown to cancel out one Scowl effect. On top of the res-based Sandstorm effect, Ronan also gets 40% res as true damage from the Refine, plus Lagu's friend. A lot of nuking potential here. One modification to the Lagu's friend setup, or just any Glacius build setup, is Pulse of Ploy. Free cooldown each turn, and Ronan has the flat res to inflict the Ploy debuffs. You may be able to even charge Glacius enough to trigger it on initiation, making Ronan a threat if the foe doesn't act fast. Special Spiral 4 could replace Lagu's friend, although it will be less tanking power. When it comes to other skills, Ronan could run regular % skills like Remote Spell or NLC Disrupt 4. You could stack those with Curved Shot. Since the Refine added some support perks, we can also lean into that with things like Ronan's innate joint drive speed, or you could do Odd Speed Wave 4. There's also Infantry No Follow 4, Counter Control, maybe Infantry Pulse. If you want to run Ploys, Sabotage, or Discord, you can stack Flat Resistance, although Ronan may not get the benefits of Still/Crystalline Water's attack buffs. Those skills also lower his defense stat, which ain't the best, but the Refine does at least try to add some defense back, which could maybe save Ronan on a basic attack. In conclusion though, Ronan's Refine is pretty dang good. It provides multiple new playstyles, and he gets pretty rare support perks on top. To get the most of the 150% resistance for calculations, you won't need to spam specials. This also makes attack boosting skills a little awkward since they may not actually do anything. Be on the lookout for those rare speed and res skill variants. That's going to be it for part 1 of the update 9.1 refines. Let me know your thoughts and share any build ideas you may be planning to run. Next up in part 2, we're going to cover legendary Micaiah and Faye. We then have one of my favorite meme units, Halloween Zane. His refine is certainly no joke though. Thank you for watching, have fun with the newer finds, and I will see you in the next video.